Hello and welcome to today's podcast episode. Today I am once again joined by a very special guest. This time it is my friend Artem. Welcome, Artem. I'm really excited
Thank
to
you.
have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, Goose. Great. Super excited to join this podcast today.
For sure, man. I absolutely love your energy, love your smile. That's something which stood out to me the first time that we met as well. So thank you for being here and making the time free today. Now, Artem,
hmm
I would say that one of the things that you probably are like quite well established in is the platform Skool. I was actually checking out the synthesizer group, which is a specific school community for people who don't know, and I saw that you were even an ambassador. Is that correct?
Ambassador of Synthesizer or School?
Yeah, it was like ambassador, I think, for Russia, or that was for another one for the
Yeah,
Goosify
I
community.
used to be a Russian mayor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I am very curious to hear about your first experience with school. Like, how did you get into school? Like, what got you started with it? Uh, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, good question. So, I started school when it was actually. Actually, I started school in school. As funny as it sounds. So, I used to live with my friend and I lived in an actual school. So we rented like a private school for summer, and we were living there with my friend and with six of my other friends as well. And so it was like a big school, 3 floors in height, so it looked really awesome. It looked like a medieval house, which is super exciting. And so in that school, I started my school community. And so basically, I wanted to monetize my YouTube channel because before that, I had a YouTube channel with like 2,000 subscribers where I taught people how to speak English and stuff. And then I really wanted to monetize it somehow. But unfortunately, in Russia, there was no monetization available on YouTube, so you couldn't monetize your YouTube channel on YouTube. And the only thing I could do was to sell some kind of like a course. I mean, that was my plan from the beginning anyway, to sell a course or maybe like do some coaching or something. But I realized that, there isn't any good platform except like Kajabi or something else. And so I didn't really know how to like start a course or how to run it, especially considering the fact that I cannot use Western services in Russia and stuff. But then my friend, Andrew, I was living with him on the third floor in that school. He said to me, "Bro, I think you can start School." And I'm like, "School? What school?" He said, "Basically, it's the platform we were using before." I remember we bought like a course on School before that. It wasn't like a course; it was like an entire community. But specifically, we bought a course inside of it, and so we thought it would be like super exciting to um, how to say to learn from that course. And but it was hosted on this platform called School, and so then what happened is uh, my friend started persuading me. He said to me, "Bro, like this platform is so good. Like you can start your own community, you can create your own course, you can also have this calendar thing here. You can host the weekly events and stuff. You can also make them paid as well. And you can coach people." And I was like, that sounds really cool, but I just really want to create my course. And I'm not sure if I will be able to like pay for it and stuff because of the laws and stuff. And I'm not sure that I will be able to receive money as well because like I had so many limiting beliefs basically. And also like the fee was like $99 per month. I was like, oh, how am I going to afford it and stuff. But then what happened is my friend just handled all of my objections. Thank God he did. And so when he handled all of my objections one by one, he said, "Bro, you can use PayPal. Bro, we have a friend from Serbia who can help us. Bro, like this is so easy. Like you just set up your school community. It will take you 5 minutes. Bro, like you will create a course and like you already have 2,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, so you can just simply funnel them all inside your community and you're going to make a lot of sales." And I was like, I guess this guy is right. So what I did is I started my school community. And actually, I had to take a loan from the bank to afford it because that was like too much for me at the moment. But then I created this Skool community, and funny enough, I got my first sale in like 14 days or something, or even 10 days. So that was pretty cool. It was like a $27 sale, and I remember we were just like jumping with my friend, on the floor because like, damn, first sale ever. That's so amazing. And so we made our first sale. I made my first sale because I ran the community alone, but my friend just helped me with it. And so then I continued living in that school for maybe like a month. So we rented it in summer. And I just continued like this process of improving my Skool community, adding more courses inside of it and stuff. And then I got like my second and third sale. And so at that point I was like, I was really bought into this platform, I was super excited about Skool. And so then I moved back to my flat and I just continued growing my Skool community and stuff. I remember I got my first coaching client as well. And then after that, I just started growing and stuff. So yeah, it was like 2 years ago, I think. Actually, like 15 months or something. So, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. It's funny that you started school in school. That's something which I'm probably curious to hear more about. Like, how did you get into renting a school and living there? Like, what's the story behind that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, it sounds like a Scooby-Doo story because do you know Scooby-Doo movie or how's it called? Series, TV show?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, actually, I don't. I forgot about what this TV show was about, but I guess it was about ghosts or something. So, a story for another day. But what happened is my friends, they created like a Telegram group. Actually, first off, let's start from the beginning. So how I met my friends. So when I didn't buy this course, but there was this community on Skool called Adonis Gang. You probably are familiar with it, maybe not. From
Yeah.
Hamza Ahmed. So I think you actually also joined Skool from that or from that community, right? Or no? No?
No, that was from another one.
Okay, gotcha. So um, I joined that community because like I was watching Hamza a lot, and then I um, I remember I started looking at the map and I started like seeing maybe there are some people nearby, with whom I can do a meetup or something. It would be so cool to have friends because I was just living alone and I had zero friends, just like um, just like a lone wolf lifestyle, just like going to the gym, like creating videos on YouTube and stuff, like trying to become this entrepreneur, learning all this stuff, reading books and stuff. But then I had no friends, no one to talk to, and so there was like this map function inside the community specifically because Hamza created this function specifically for people in that community, Adonis Gang, even before the map feature came out in Skool. And so I found some people and they were actually from my city and I was like, oh guys, what's up? How's it going? And they said, dude, actually, we're also from St. Petersburg. Let's do a meetup. And so next week, first we created a Telegram group, and next week we met up with each other, and we went to a restaurant. And we also actually first we went to the gym, which is pretty cool. We got a picture of all of us like naked posing, So that was like the first picture we ever took. That's pretty cool. And then we went to a restaurant. We discussed some things, and then somebody said, I think it would be cool to live together, And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. And so fast forward like 3 or 2 months, somebody proposed an idea to actually rent a house and live together. And I was like, this is the sickest thing ever. I would love to, And so we created another group,
Yeah.
and there we started looking for different houses. And so they found some cool houses or flats that are pretty big, where we can all live together. But then one of my friends, his name is Koля or Nicholas, or how do you say that in English? Yeah, his name is Koля, basically. So he found this school, okay, not school, but school. And that school was located probably, I'm not sure where specifically, but like, yeah, I mean, if I talk about specifics, I basically was located in St. Petersburg, okay? In like suburbs of St. Petersburg, but like this building looked amazing. It looked premium, and we were like, whoa, I would love to live there, you know? And so we were all hyped about it. It didn't cost a lot of money. Fortunately, it costed like $300 for each person for every month, you know, if we divided the money. So that was pretty cool for rent. And we rented it in summer for 2 months. And so what happened there is when we went to that place to like see what's inside and everything, turned out there was an entire how's it called, graveyard. I know that's pretty rough. So basically near that school there was an entire graveyard,
It's really
you
a
know.
Scooby-Doo story.
Yeah, that's why it's Scooby-Doo, because like there was an entire graveyard next to the school, which was really fun. And so actually one time we decided to go around the lake. So there was like a lake as well near the school, and we decided to go around the lake, just like see what's like on the other side. And then we kind of got lost at the end, and so we had to. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and we had to go back to our school. Like how to say, basically in the graveyard, you know. We had to like pass the graveyard. That was super creepy, but we did it, and like I mean there was no ghosts, fortunately. So yeah, so basically that's how I started living in school.
Wow, man, you're such a great storyteller as well. I was really engaged. Um, so yeah, maybe it could be interesting to dive a little bit deeper into the actual school platform. So I've also had a school community, and probably plenty of people listening have thought about starting a school community, have heard about the business model of having a school community. Um, my guess, or like I guess the next question I want to ask you is, what kind of tips or advice do you have for people that are hesitant or on the edge of starting a school community? Like, why should someone
Hmm.
start a school community? Because I
Hmm.
mean, I guess I'm right to say that a school community changed your life pretty big, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what's gonna be like the biggest piece of advice for people starting their own school community, right?
Yeah, if people are like on the fence about doing it, like why should someone care about school?
Really good question. So just before our podcast, my friend messaged me, and he said about, well, actually, he said many things, and he recorded like a 5 minute voice message, you know? So that was really fun because like I used to, well, I'm still how to say, I like to record 5 or 10 or 20 minute podcasts, just talking with my friends sometimes, and he does the same thing. And so he recorded like this 5 minute or even like 10 minute voice message explaining how generalists will win in this century. So generalists are basically people who have many different interests, they have many different like passions and stuff, and they would love to like monetize one of them, right? But they have just so many of them, right? Instead of experts. So experts, they will basically lose in 21st century simply because they have one expertise, one area they're like passionate about, or one area they're really good at. And I mean, of course, that's super useful, but at the same time, like they have no other skills that could supplement that, you know? And the biggest problem here is that AI can basically replace them, you know? And that's a big problem because, for example, let's say you're a food coach, right? Or you are like a gym coach, right? And then somebody asks you for an advice, right? You give some advice, but then ChatGPT can give the same kind of advice, right? Probably it's going to be even better with time. So that's a problem, right? I mean, some people will turn to advice to you if you're really established and you spend a lot of years doing this, right? But if you're a beginner and if you're like a beginner fitness coach, I mean, people will just ask AI instead, right? But if you have many interests, if you have many passions, and you connect them together in a very interesting way, then like AI cannot replace you in that, you know, which is really cool. And then the thing about school is that it's usually a platform for people who have a bunch of different interests, you know? So for me, I didn't just have an interest in like teaching people how to speak English. I also had an interest in creating like very interesting YouTube videos and stuff because like I was really passionate about YouTube. Then I was also passionate about 3D modeling, you know? Then I was also passionate about storytelling. I was also passionate about self-improvement. I was also passionate about um, reading books. I was also passionate about drawing. I was also passionate about ants, you know, like having formicariums and keeping ants at home, literal insects, you know, and also other
Yeah,
different
that's a
hobbies.
really
And so,
unique
yeah,
interest.
yeah. And when you tell all these different stories and when you connect them together and when you create like this kind of like a personal monopoly, right? So personal monopoly is basically how to explain? Well, that's a pretty difficult term to explain, but basically it means just being in a niche of one, right? Like nobody else does the same things you do, right? And so you are the expert in that niche, and you're basically it's like you have the monopoly in this sphere, right? Which is really cool. And so I had all these different passions, and I realized that School is the best platform for um, how to say like maintaining or even like trying to um, how do I say, what's the word, monetize all these passions. I can create a community about ants. Like honestly, I'm dead serious. I can create a community about ants, and that's my plan for the next year, because that's what I really want to do. I want to create a community about ants when I have a lot of free time, so I can, well, I don't know what's the reason. I guess I just want to, and I want to have people like me, who also are passionate about the same thing. And then I can also create a community about English, and I already did. And right now I'm working with a client and helping him develop his school community about English. And like in 1 month, we already got like almost 300 members, which is pretty cool. And we already made like a couple of high ticket sales as well, which is also really cool in the first month. So
Nice.
yeah. And so basically, when you have some kind of a passion and you combine it with other passions, then you can create an amazing first, you can create an amazing school community, right? And then you can also beat AI in this thing because like you're really good at this, right? And AI cannot replace you in this field. And people, they connect to you because you're a real person, right? You're not AI. And you're very interesting because you have a lot of damn passions.
Got it. And I guess one thing which I want to kind of take away from that, which I heard you mention, is that generalists will win, is what you said,
Yeah.
in the 21st century. But then one thing I also observe is you mentioned specifically wanting to do a community around ants. And I think, even though it sounds a bit strange, that could be really successful because it's such a niche interest. It's such a specific interest. So, yeah, doesn't that kind of contradict in some way? Because on one hand, there's generalists that will win, but on the other hand, I think also that specific niche interest is really what is going to make a school community successful. Like,
Hmm.
because it's probably uh, because we have the internet, it's a lot easier to find people with the same niche interests. So, yeah, how do you sort of see that? This generalist, but also the specific niches that are really successful. It's like, should people start by going into a niche on school? Should people do like a general school group around a topic, like self
Mm-hmm.
improvement, for example? What do you think? Yeah, what's kind of your advice in that case? Because you have a community on, you've had a community on English,
Mm-hmm.
and right now your community is mainly around running a school community, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's about, actually, it's more specific. It's like related to creators and stuff, specifically creators who struggle with confidence. So that's the kind of person I'm helping right now. But yeah, answering your question, I would say a lot of people get it wrong. So they think they need to niche down, they need to make it like super specific, and they need to nail their customer profile before they even know who that person is, before they even like chatted with that person. And I would say it makes absolutely no sense because like how can you niche down to a specific person and like say that I'm gonna help uh chiropractors who struggle with getting new clients or something, right? If you have never worked in that niche before and you know nothing about that thing, maybe that's going to work for some people, like for people who just want to start a business and stuff. But honestly, if you're a beginner and you know nothing about business and you know nothing about marketing, like the easiest thing would be to just simply like try everything first, try just starting a Skool community about anything. It could even be about ants, honestly. And then just figure out from there, right? Learn all the skills. First, you learn how to bring in new members inside your community. And guess what? If you just simply bring in, let's say, 50 people in your community about ants, guess what's going to happen next time you create a Skool community? It could be about any topic again. It could be about, let's say, what could it be? I don't know, knitting or learning English or fitness, for example. You will be able to get those 50 members with ease because you did that in the past already. That's what happened with me as well, which is I just followed my curiosities. I really just wanted to help people with spoken English because I struggled with it myself. So I just started a YouTube channel about that. I just simply thought, you know what? Like, it's not going to hurt if I start a YouTube channel. I make no money at all, but I learned how to speak in English, because like I still sucked in English when I started a YouTube channel about English, as funny as it sounds. And then I also thought, you know what? I'm going to learn how to make videos as well. And so when I learned these two skills, I'm going to become good at them and I can just create a video about anything after that. That's exactly what I did. So I started with English. I learned how to speak English by creating videos and by talking with people, and also by creating my Skool community and talking with people on Skool as well. So I became pretty much fluent. Then I learned communication skills. I learned how to speak on camera. I learned like some other skills as well, such as like scripting a video, going on a call, asking questions, asking proper questions, some other self-improvement things as well while I was on my path as well. And so all these things, they contributed towards me learning how to become a better storyteller, learning how to attract attention from people, learning how to create thumbnails, learning how to create YouTube videos. And all these skills, they'll help me like crazy right now. I can just like leverage them. And honestly, right now, I can just create a community about how to run a YouTube channel and I'll be wildly successful about that, And so what I did in the beginning is I just followed my curiosities. And it wasn't really specific. I didn't try to like help chiropractors get new clients, right, or something. It was just about like helping people with English. It was just basically what I love doing. And then as I did that, I became good at this simply because I was super passionate about this. I could spend hours just thinking about how I can help my imaginary clients, because I didn't have clients back then, how I can help them with my new YouTube videos, And I thought about this all day, every day. So I was like ultra passionate about this. And then because I was ultra passionate, I was able to spend more time than others. I was able to capitalize on this. And then I created my Skool community, and that worked wonders for me, And so basically, if you try to make it specific in the beginning, maybe it's not going to work simply because, well, you need to have skills already, right? And if you don't have skills, the best thing you can do is to just follow your passion, as funny as it sounds, And then after that, of course, learn skills related to that passion. For example, I was passionate about English, but I learned how to start a YouTube channel. I learned how to record myself on camera. I learned how to script videos, right? And all these things, they contributed towards my success. And so there's this community called Synthesizer, and it has this thing called success equation. And so the success equation basically consists of like 4 circles. The first one is your superpower, and your superpower is like your the thing that you're good at, Then there's your passion at the bottom, the thing that you're very passionate about. And then there's writing and selling, right? And when you combine these 4 things together, they're going to do wonders for you, right? But of course, you need to learn how to write in English or in any other language in which you're trying to create your community, right? And you also need to learn how to sell, which is you need to actually conduct sales calls, or you need to learn how to sell your ideas through your YouTube videos, right? And then writing also means like copywriting, basically. So yeah.
That's a really powerful framework, honestly. So I'll probably link the Synthesizer community for people. I'll probably also link your community in the description of this podcast.
Yeah, you can link my...
Check it out.
Yeah, you can link my Skool page. Skool.com
For
slash
sure.
Artem. Yeah.
Is that your link?
Yeah, pretty simple.
That's a
Because,
super. Yeah, I was gonna say like usually those simple links are like taken for like YouTube channels and school communities and stuff. That's awesome.
yeah.
Um, Awesome, man. So I guess when you are going to create a community around ants, can you kind of walk us through your plan of action? Like, how are you going to take this community and make it a success? So what's kind of the approach? Because you've done this before, right? So now you can apply it to ants, and starting from scratch, that's obviously something which people are probably interested in.
Good question. Yeah, so I already started like, I don't know how many communities, maybe like three communities at this point or four, by myself. And if I were to create an ant community, what I would do is first, well, I'll message my friend who is passionate about ants as well. That's the first step, you know? Yeah. And so then what I would do is I would message one of my other friends who is also passionate about ants, you know? And then I'll have already three people, including me. I mean, like two people and me as a third person. And then, well, I don't have any other friends who are passionate about ants, but I'll probably bring someone else who is a little bit passionate about ants as well. Maybe they will be interested as well, you know? And so I'll have my first three founding members. And then what I would do, well, I'll just start engaging on forums or other communities about ants to bring in new people, you know? So the first thing I would really do is to just simply have like 10 true regulars or 10 people who are regular inside the community and they open it up at least like one or two or three times per week, you know? So it's an actual community, right? And it's actually fun to engage inside of it. And then what I would do is I would like probably I would start hosting weekly events, you know, just like a 1 hour hangout call where we just talk about life and about ants as well. So yeah.
Got it. So yeah, it kind of seems like your plan of action would be get in people that you know that you have in your network first, and
Mm-hmm.
then kind of expand from there. Would that be correct to say?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's probably the best way to start your Skool community because well, you can bring in at least like five people who are already passionate about the thing that you are doing because well, you probably made some friends already. If you were hiking, for example, on mountains, you probably made some friends, right? You probably have some WhatsApp numbers and stuff or like Instagram pages. Or let's say if you were passionate about gardening, you also probably have some friends about that who are passionate about that. If you are um, I don't know, passionate about something else, you can also find friends. You know, it's super easy. And then just start bringing more people by making more friends. As funny as it sounds. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that school is really a powerful platform is because it's community based. So it's not just about learning, but it's about learning with people. And I feel
exactly.
like that's really what perhaps like the future of successful online platforms are going to involve around people. Obviously, there's a reason why social media is so big, is because it's a social platform, right? We care about
Yeah,
other people. We want to know what other people are doing. We want to be with other people. That's kind of like what a lot of life revolves around, to go a little bit more deep. Um, so yeah, 100% I agree. That's probably the best thing to do is just get in touch with people, figure out if they have the same interest, and then invite them into your community and start building from there. Um, so yeah, perhaps I would be curious to hear like what is the passion behind ants? Like, is there a specific thing that you would do with them? Like, I don't know, feed them and take care of them in like a box. I don't know. I have no idea like what is the interesting thing about ads. Would love to hear about that.
yeah. Actually, it's a marketing strategy. I'm kidding, but I mean, it kind of is because I'm not sure what kind of like a title and thumbnail you're gonna use for this podcast, but if it's something about ants, people will definitely click. But going back to your
Yeah, I'll
questions,
definitely include it.
yeah. But going back to your question, I would say, well, actually, that's going to be even more not groundbreaking, but even more clickbaity, which is ants are like a community, as funny as it sounds, because they are, like ants, they never live alone.
Ooh.
They have a community, like they have an ant queen, like the main ant, who is like responsible for, um, how to explain, who's responsible for laying eggs, and from those eggs, new ants emerge, So basically, she's like the most important ant in the colony. But as funny as it sounds, the queen, like the main ant, she's usually not the most important ant in the colony. Like the most important ant in the colony is every ant, if that makes sense. Because I mean, queen is really important because she lays eggs, and if she died, right, then probably the ant colony would die as well. And the same thing is with the community, right? Which is like the admin or the owner of the community. He is like, he sounds like the most important person because he's the owner, right? But then without the owner, the community would still exist, right? And without the queen, ants would still exist. Like they wouldn't just simply die. Of course, they wouldn't, how to say, they wouldn't develop and their colony wouldn't grow after that if the queen died suddenly, right? But they would still function as a colony. And the same thing happens with the community, right? If the owner is not active for a while, nothing bad will happen with the community because everybody will still be active inside, right? But then after a while, of course, when the owner is not active at all, something will definitely happen to the community, right? But that will take like a long time for sure. And so, uh, what is it about ants that I was really passionate about? Well, I guess it was like kind of like a this topic called world building, where it's like you are trying to create your own Disneyland, if that makes sense. And that's actually what people are trying to do with communities as well. They're trying to create their own like a Disneyland where people can hang out, where there's like a culture, right? Like their own culture where they have like inside jokes, shared purpose, something that they strive towards, and also like frequent interaction where they like interact with each other as well. And so that's what's that's what stood out to me about ants as well. When I was 13 years old, I bought my first ant farm. Like I was asking my mom, please buy me those ants. I really want them, And she was like, why do you need freaking ants? I was like collecting them on the street, before that. Then I bought like better ants. I mean, they're not better necessarily. They were just bigger in size. So it was more fun to look at them. And so I bought that new ant farm and I was just like trying to build a world for them, I had like a container where they could, it was like an out world for them where they could like hang out, they could forage for food and stuff, and where they could just like chill, And they also had their own nest, and that was the place where they were like sleeping, where they were laying eggs, where they were developing, where they were growing, where they were storing food as well. And basically they had their own world, And I could add more formicariums. So formicariums are basically their nests. I could add more nests. I could make like their outworld bigger. I could add some decorations inside of it, and that would be super cool. And it's super cool to see how ants interact with everything. So they're basically like your community members. And I was really building my own community when I was 13 years old.
Wow, that's an interesting crossover, man. And I love that as well. It's a
Yeah.
very niche passion. I'm sure that probably no one listening to this podcast resonates with it. Maybe there are some people that do, but that's so cool, man. Thank you for sharing
I
that.
already have
Thank you for
community
sharing that.
members if they resonate with that.
Yeah, if you do resonate with it, be sure to get in touch with Artem. You could probably be
Yeah.
one of the founding members to his community. Um, yeah, that's really interesting, man. And I guess another thing that you are quite passionate about is fitness, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, perhaps we could go a little bit deeper into that, because I didn't really have like a specific topic for this podcast. We've talked a little bit about school and online business, which I think is a very interesting topic. Um, growing a Skool community, monetizing your interests. But other than that, um, yeah, can you perhaps tell me a little bit about your fitness journey? I imagine that you have
A six pack.
somewhat.
I'm kidding.
I imagine that you have somewhat been taking some advice from Hamza when it comes to fitness, like from his community when you were in it. Yeah, what kind of things have you taken away from him specifically about fitness that you've tried in your routine?
Good question. Yeah, about Hamza, I kind of stopped watching him like 2 years ago, I think. But I watched a lot of Andrew Huberman podcasts for sure. Podcasts by Andrew Huberman,
Mm, he's got
and
it.
yeah, he's got it. And then also some other people as well. I don't remember whom specifically, but there was this one guy whom I watched constantly. I forgot his name, but yeah, props to him because like I learned a lot from him. I guess it was actually ChatGPT who gave me all of the advice, as funny as it sounds. But I learned a lot of things from a lot of different people when it comes to fitness, and I would say I wouldn't call myself an expert in this, but I guess one fun thing about fitness is before this call, actually, a couple of days ago, like on January 26th, I think, I moved to a different place. And right now, I'm basically living close to the gym. So basically, like next door. So, not here, but like, how to explain? Mm, so next door, basically, like in the same building, there's an entire gym, you know? So I'm basically living
Ooh,
close to the gym. So it's like when I walk outside, it's 0 minutes for me to walk to the gym. It takes me just like 30 seconds to walk there. And I'm just like living next to the gym, which is pretty cool. And funny thing, before this podcast, I ate 2,000 calories. So I
what?
was pretty bulked up. And honestly, in the beginning of the podcast, I sounded a little bit, how do I say, mm, that I had like a little bit of brain fog. I sounded like I had some brain fog because I did. Honestly, because I ate 2,000 calories. So yeah.
What did you
And
eat?
yeah, I ate pasta, you know?
Oh, that's a very carb heavy meal.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
But yeah, what kind of how long have you been training for?
2 years.
2 years. What are some of the things that you would tell to your starting self in the gym? That's always a fun question.
Good one. I would say don't listen to people. Don't listen to all these different fitness influencers. Just simply, how do I say? Well, first, just simply like get used to going there. Just like spend, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes every week, or maybe like 30 minutes, maybe 3 to 4 times per week. Just simply go in there and just trying different stuff. Trying different machines, trying different equipment and stuff, and just like trying to make sense of it all.
Gotcha. I think that's a good point. Like the gym can be such a fun place to explore in the beginning, because there's so many different exercises which you could try. I guess one thing which I would add to that is really just as well try out a bunch of things, but in the beginning, probably compound lifts are going to be your best bet. Although I will say that lately I've been focusing a little bit more on isolation exercises. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, doing the leg press instead of the squat, doing the chest press instead of the bench press, because you can get a lot better mind muscle connection when you do these isolation exercises versus when you do the compound exercises. So compound is great for attracting a lot of muscles and becoming stronger. But if you really want to develop that mind muscle connection and get like good proper blood flow into the muscle, it does help to focus on isolation exercises. So actually, I would say in the beginning, just try out a bunch of different machines, get a feel for the muscles, and then perhaps you can integrate some compound movements as well, and really just do a combination of both. And I guess the second thing is just going consistently should be your main priority. So with anything, also with online business, like the main thing is just consistency. Try and be as consistent as you can with these things, and then with enough time, your learning is going to start compounding. You're going to start growing. Uh, Momentum is going to start kicking in. That's really, I think, a principle that applies not only to the gym but also to online business and many other areas of life. Is just build the habit of consistency first, and then move on to other things. Um,
For
so yeah,
sure.
that's, I guess, my take of advice
Yeah, how
for
many
that.
years have you been in the
Um,
gym?
and oh, that's a good question. I started going to the gym when I was like 17 or something.
Ooh.
And there was a period in between where I was traveling and didn't have access to a gym. So I was doing body weight exercises and calisthenics, which I
Mm-hmm.
also did when I was returning from traveling. Especially when it's summer outside, it's really good to train outside as well. So that's when I trained calisthenics. But then as it got colder, I got back into the gym, and I've been quite enjoying it because the machines are really just a very convenient way of engaging the muscle, something that's a lot harder to do with calisthenics. Um, yeah, since I was like 17.
Hmm. Cool. Love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, so um, I know that you obviously you have traveled to Georgia, right? Um, since
And I'm living
about a
here right
month
now.
or so, which is really
Yeah.
awesome. And you're living there. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I think one of the things that people listening to this podcast are probably also interested in is travel. At least I am. So let's just talk about this. Um, what do you think is so interesting to do about travel? Like, why should people, uh, I guess you could say, look into traveling if they haven't considered it yet?
Hmm. Well, that's a tough question, honestly. Because like, the Georgia is the only place I traveled to. I would say, what's the? Actually, I traveled to a lot of places, but like inside of my home country, which is Russia, I traveled to Moscow. I traveled to Crimea. I traveled to other cities in Russia, but I haven't traveled outside of Russia yet, except Georgia, of course. But then when I traveled to Georgia, I would say, hmm, it's really just about like, hmm, how do I say? It's really about booking a hotel before
Well,
you
perhaps,
actually arrive there. you know? Yeah?
yeah, I've heard that
Should I go
before.
on?
Like, uh, preparation in the beginning is definitely key. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you have plans for travel for the next couple of months?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, but first I want to finish my first point, which is you should definitely book the place before you arrive because what happened to me is before I arrived, I didn't even book a place or anything. I just simply kind of I was like winging it, I didn't do anything, and when I arrived, that was just a pain in the ass because I tried to get I had no internet connection. I had nothing when I arrived, and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have any plan. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna figure it all out. Like honestly, if you're like super confident about traveling, like you shouldn't be that confident as I was in the beginning. Because when I arrived, I was like, shit, I can just like rent a place. I can go there. I can grab a SIM card. I can get a credit card in one day and stuff. But that didn't happen. It took me way more time to do all these things. And so but then thank God I figured it all out, But my first day was a freaking nightmare because I remember I was like sleep deprived when I arrived first because like I wasn't really sleeping at the airport, but like um I had like a late night. How to explain? So I arrived in Sochi first. I was from Saint Petersburg. I arrived in Sochi, and then in Sochi I was like staying for the whole night before my flight to Georgia. And so because of that, I was a little bit sleep deprived because I rented a place in the hotel, but I only slept there for like 3 hours. And so I was sleep deprived. I arrived in a totally different country, never traveled before, and and then I had to make sense of it all, And I didn't even book a place where I could stay. I didn't even have anything where I should go and stuff. I knew that I need to like exchange the money, but I couldn't because my map didn't work and stuff on my phone. So that was a nightmare for sure. So you should definitely prepare before you start traveling and stuff. And not be like that confident. But then
That's a great tip, especially if you're going to a foreign country for the first time.
yeah, I didn't expect that to happen for some reason. But then asking your second question, I would say I really want to go to Turkey because I mean I'm living in Georgia, specifically a city called Batumi. It's a really beautiful city. You can check it out in in Google. Okay, it looks really cool. You can just like type in Batumi and stuff. Um, and Turkey is like really close. It's just like 30-hour ride from my city. So super close. And I could just go to Turkey. That's my plan. I'll go to Turkey first. Then my plan is to go to Thailand. And then after that, just like
Oh,
visit almost every single country on the planet. So yeah.
wow, that's that's quite a big travel plan, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been thinking of going to Thailand as well. It does speak how do you say it? Like pique my curiosity. Um, how do you envision this with like school and travel? Like, uh, I guess you could say you're kind of wanted to become a digital nomad. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much correct. And not only like a digital nomad, but also the person who has, how to say, um, no real home, homeless. I'm kidding, of course, but like, what I want to do is like for the first, in my 20s, basically, I just want to travel and kind of be like this homeless dude. Of course, I'm kidding, but just be like this kind of like a guy who has no home. He just like travels to every country and then kind of settle in some country. When I turn, let's say 25, I will start thinking about like this long-term vision and stuff. I'll become older maybe, and I'll just think, yeah, I need to have wife and family and kids, and maybe after that I'll settle and like stop traveling and get like a citizenship in another country. Maybe in Georgia, who knows. So yeah.
That's an awesome plan. What do you kind of because yeah, there's probably a lot that goes into traveling the entire world. How are you going to do that? Do you have like, or perhaps a better question is, why?
Why I want to travel, right?
Yeah, why?
The
Why
entire
go?
world?
Yeah.
Good question. I guess first, it's dopamine, but that's not like a sufficient reason for sure. I guess the deeper reason is my childhood. I always wanted to travel somewhere, but as a child, I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford that, and I wanted to travel to all these different countries. I remember when I was 13, I actually wanted to move to Georgia. You know, I really wanted to like move there forever. Like escape my country and like start traveling from there and stuff. But I didn't really know how. I didn't have money and I didn't have finances, and I was like really doubtful about this whole thing. But then, so that was kind of like my childhood trauma, honestly. And so because of that trauma, I kind of developed this, uh, how to say, this motivation to travel the whole world, if that makes sense. And that's why I like moved to Georgia first, and right now my plan is to go to other countries as well. So yeah.
That's absolutely awesome, man. I definitely want to keep in touch with you and see how that is going to develop. Because I have similar ambitions, maybe not the entire world, but definitely some countries that I plan to
Yeah,
visit.
yeah, every country except North Korea.
Except North Korea.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
who knows? That would be cool to see that place, but I'm not sure about that one.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, well, yeah, Artem. I guess is there anything finally that you want to before we wrap it up? You want to offer as like you want to say to the listener or offer as like advice or any final messages you want to share with the people?
Hmm. Yeah, can you give me like a pointer? What the advice should be about? About what topic?
Uh, that's a good question. I guess. Hmm, let's do the topic of just life. Like, keep it broad, like because we've been very specific on this podcast with each topic, but now let's do a little bit more general. Like, what kind of general life advice do you have for people?
Yeah, you're asking me as if I'm like some kind of old dude who knows everything. But
No, but I mean,
yeah,
you've done quite some things that are probably yeah considered a success by people. So I would say like
hmm.
you're the right
Yeah, I
person
got
to
you, man.
ask.
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, I guess the kind of advice I would give to people. Let me think. If I would give advice to like the person I'm giving advice to, usually like the people whom I'm trying to help, I would say the biggest piece of advice would be to just like, hmm, let me think.
It's a good question, eh?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and it's a hard question. So just give me like 30 seconds to think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, before we wrap it up, I will link as well Artem's school community, which you're welcome to check out, as well as some of his socials if you wish to get in touch if you're listening to this. So that's just a small note right there.
Cool. Yeah, the biggest piece of advice would be to hmm, would
And
be
if there's
for people
nothing,
to
that's fine as
yeah, there
well.
is, there is, there is, there is. Um, the piece of advice I would give to people is to actually start their own school community. I mean, why not? Why not try it
Oh
for one
yeah,
month? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like really, like there's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's just like $9 per month. It's not $99. When I started, it was $99, and that was a lot. But right now, like it would just be like super fun to like start your community and just like I don't know, just talk about something. Just try it for one month. Try to bring some people inside of it. Try to host at least one group call and see what happens. Because like that's not only gonna how to say that's not only gonna be like a unique experience for you, but you're also gonna develop some skills. Because it's gonna be an entire month, and if you make some kind of like a challenge, like a school challenge, that would be really cool. you know, for school. So yeah, that's the piece of advice I would give to people.
awesome, man. For sure. Thank you so much for being with me here today, Artem. I enjoyed our conversation. I always enjoy your energy. Like I said in the beginning, you're always a very positive dude. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, once again, I will link your socials and your community in the description for people if they want to check it out. I would like to thank you for your time today, Artem.
Thank you, Gus,
And
too. Great
I would
call.
like to thank you, the
Love
listener,
it.
as well for listening. Once again, thank you, Artem. And looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.